The Louie Tee Network is powered by the Card Collector Series. Join me, your man, Louie Tee, on my journey back into the card collecting space with the Card Collector Series on YouTube. Link is in the description. Who else could it be but me, your man, Louie Tee? Welcome to Washington football overtime. Washington 16, Philadelphia 20. This was a fun game. I enjoyed this game, considering the circumstances. The last 2 weeks have been rough to me, and that's an understatement. It was so bad the last couple of weeks that I really was not overly, engaged with everything going on. I kind of detached myself from the team over the last week because I wasn't expecting much of anything. I expected them to fight. Like I told you, Ron Rivera, usually after last week, I can't ever say that his teams don't get blown out late in the season and they'll always fight, because they didn't fight last week. That said, I knew they would fight. I honestly didn't think the game would be as close as it was. So I have to give them credit for having a chance to win this football game. I mean, they really came out. It looked like a repeat of the very first game. If you recall the game we played the Eagles a week and a half ago, we jumped out 10-0 in that ball game. Should have been 14, missed an opportunity. And then they dominated really from that point forward. And I thought that's what it was going to be in this game. Oh, okay, cute. We got out to a 10-0 lead. And I was going to watch them hawk us down and then, do what they did to us the last time. But, they fought, they scratched, they clawed. And unfortunately for us, they ran out of offensive gas in the second half. And the defense gave them every opportunity to win this football game. You hate giving up, a touchdown in the second half. You hate giving up a couple of scoring opportunities. But really, a lot of that was created by the inability of the offense to get first downs, flip field position, and stop the defense from pretty much having to defend 50 yards. I mean, how many times did the Eagles have possessions, specifically in the second half, that started, at their 40-yard line or further? Like, they had some ideal opportunities to put points on the board, and they were really only able to get field goals. They got the 1 fourth down touchdown by Boston Scott. But outside of that, I mean, they really had to settle for field goals after having some great field position. And you got to credit the defense for finding ways to get off the field or force the Eagles to have to settle for field goals in some spots. I thought Jack Del Rio was a bit too conservative in this game. I'll give you a great example. He was going to blitz Jalen Hurts on a 3rd and 9. Lane Johnson jumps false start. It's 3rd and 14. He decides to play coverage. Hurts rolls out and finds, I don't remember who it was, Greg Ward or somebody, for like a 24-yard gain down to Washington's 7-8 yard line. And that was what prompted them to end up getting in the end zone on the Boston Scott 4th down touchdown. Like, that shouldn't have happened. Be aggressive. Go after him. You got nothing to lose. If they throw a screen like they did against us the other week and they pop one, good for them. But you can't sit back on your heels. Jalen Hurts is at his worst when you come after him and you be aggressive. That's why the Eagles simply throw screens when teams come after him, because he can't make smart decisions when under duress in those types of situations. So you want to come after him. Either he's going to use his legs or he's going to do something stupid. And that's what you want. You want him throwing it up for grabs like Heineke did, or you want him using his legs, and then you hope that he runs into a sack and a fumble because he's careless with the football. But we didn't put him in those situations. And I thought the best blitz of the day was the last one that forced them to settle for a field goal, where they used Jamin Davis to come around the loop to keep him keep contained, forcing him inside. There was really nowhere for him to go. He threw it up, and it was actually a good throw to Rager. And I thought it could have easily been called pass interference. I did think Kendall Fuller got there a little early, but they didn't call it. I thought this was a well-officiated game, by the way. They let the players on the field decide the outcome of the game for the most part. And so I thought that was Del Rio's best call of the day. Outside of that, I thought he was too damn conservative. Come after Jalen Hurts, come after this Eagles offense. None of their skill guys scare you. Sure, Dallas Goedert, has really taken it to us, but we're not afraid of Dallas Goedert. He's not Travis Kelce. He's not going to have 177 yards and 2 touchdowns in the game. He'll nickel and dime you all day long, and that's what he did. But we're not afraid of him. You know, Devontae Smith, he's a really good football player. Not afraid. Sorry, not sorry. You know, they have no one over there that scares you, so go after him. But it worked because, again, they didn't put up a bunch of points. They didn't want to give anything cheap to the Eagles. They wanted them to earn everything they got, and they did that. And I thought the Eagles ran it a lot more effectively in the second half of this game. And I thought really where the game was lost was our inability offensively to get anything going. And, some of that's on the quarterback, some of that's on the play calling, some of that's on the, weapons that we have or lack thereof. There's so many different, areas of blame, where it can be placed. At the end of the day, this is who we are right now with what we have. There's a lot of work that needs to be done, but we all know that it all starts and ends at the quarterback position. And that's what this game came down to. I thought Heineke took a number of bad sacks, almost threw a horrendous interception when pressured. Luckily enough for him that there was a flag on the play, or else that would have been a really pitiful interception he threw. There was one possession in the second half where we were back in our own territory. We got a couple of first downs, and I'm thinking, hey, if we got a punt here, we did our job offensively, flip the field position. We're going to be punting from around the 30, 35-yard line. And then Heineke takes a horrendous sack up the middle. Keith Ishmael is so soft. I mean, just drugstore cotton soft, which is why they never wanted to play this guy. And so Jannard Avery runs right over him, runs right by him, and ends up sacking Heineke. Takes about a 17-yard sack. And all the goodwill and all of the headway we had made to flip field position, he gave it right back, and our punter is now kicking from inside of his 5-yard line. I mean, like, that's the kind of stupid shit that gets you beat. You know what I mean? But that's where Heineke is, as a quarterback. So you can't – and honestly, I'm not going to lie to you. That last possession, I thought he was going to take us down and win. Like, that's his element. That's when he's in his zone. Like, I wouldn't have wanted any other quarterback on the field in that situation, because every time we put him in that situation this year, he's come through. This is the first time that he didn't. Any other time this year, you can think of us with the football, with a chance to win, with adequate time, which we had. They called that last time out with 30 seconds left at the Eagles' 20-yard line. You didn't have to throw that ball. That was a bad decision. But again, that's where Heineke is when he thinks he has to make the play to win the game. That's the kind of stupid shit he does. We talked about this already. You go all the way back to the Saints game, or you could even go further back to the Buffalo game when we fell behind and he started doing stupid shit in that game. That was the first sign of, okay, when things aren't going his way and he feels the pressure of needing to win the game, this is what can happen. The Saints game, the Chiefs game, we can keep going on and on and on and on in the games where he struggled and he tried to be the man when all we needed him to do was just manage the game. He didn't need to make that throw. I can't tell you how many times I've seen quarterbacks here in Washington make that same decision on throw there that it was no way it was going to be completed, and it ends up getting picked up. For the life of me, I don't know what he thought he was going to do there. You're not layering that throw over the defender right into the hands of the tight end. Like, you're not that good. You're not that guy. Seriously, you're not that guy. So I don't know what he was trying to do, but threw it right to the safety. McLeod. It's a great interception. You still had to make a hell of a play, and he made a hell of a play to pick it off and seal the deal. And you know what? I hate losing, but it's not the worst thing in the world. We were in a really good spot. You win the game, you have a chance to weaken a divisional foe, a family member, chances of making the postseason. You lose the game, and you continue to help your draft positioning. So I've already said that we weren't winning another game this season unless we beat the Giants. So that's kind of where we're going with our season. It's been a tough finish to the season because we clawed to get to a position where the final 5 games of the season actually meant something. And then we watched the final 5 games of the season mean absolutely nothing because of circumstances. Now, still got to find a way to go out there and get it done. We didn't do that. And in 2 of those games, we were embarrassed. And in 2 of the games, we fought and gave ourselves a chance, but we fell short. Both of those were at home. At the end of the day, that's the fine line in this league, is between winning and losing. You got to find a way to get it done. And we didn't find a way to get it done in some big games down the stretch. And that's why we find ourselves riding another losing streak after going, 2-2 to start. You finish that first quarter, if you will, the season 2-2, and you feel good about where you sit. Had opportunities to be 3-1, but you didn't take advantage of that. So you're 2-2, and then you lose 4 straight. And then somehow magically you win 4. I still don't know how the hell we managed to win 4 in a row, but we did that. And those final 5 games felt big. And everything we wanted was right there in front of us. And we wet the bed. And so now it's back to the drawing board. Again, the quarterback position is the most important thing that we have to do. We'll see how they decide to handle all of that this offseason. One more game left. It's as meaningless a game as it gets. There's no excitement for next week's game. The Giants are one of the worst teams in football, and we're riding a 3-game losing streak, and our playoff hopes have been dashed, a 4-game losing streak at this point. So you win 4 in a row, you lose 4 in a row, or you lose 4 in a row, you win 4 in a row, you lose another 4 in a row. We'll probably snap that losing streak next week at New York against the Giants, but that's nor here nor there. Let's get to the comment section, see how you guys feel about the game and just everything overall. See what you guys have to say. Cohen Knock, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Cohen writes, "What's up, Lou? What's up, Cohen?" Says, Heineke trying to be the hero again. Defense was not bad at all. Sims showed what he can really do, and Jarrett gave us some light. Heineke trying to be the hero again is exactly right. That wasn't the play to be made there. You got 30 seconds. It's first down, okay? It's not like that was a 4th down attempt. You got to make something happen. It was first down. He did not need to make that throw. But that's what we've gotten from Heineke this year. So that shouldn't have been a surprise. But I'm not going to sit here and act like I didn't think he was going to lead us to the game-winning drive, because I thought he was going to throw a touchdown pass and we were going to win. So, yeah. As far as the defense, I said that at the top of the show, the defense gave us a chance to win, but this has been the story. The second half of the season is the defense has given us a chance. This is the defense that we thought we would get all season long. And the offense has just been putrid. It's gone in reverse. And it's more like the offense we saw last year, where we could barely score 20 points. And when's the last time we've scored 20 points? Speaking of which, can't tell you. Did we score 20 against the Eagles the first time? I don't know if we did. I know we scored 20 against Dallas. That's probably the last time we scored 20, and we barely scored 20 in that game, barely. And then Cam Sims continues to show what we thought he could be when he was first given an opportunity. It felt like it took him a while to get it revved up this year for whatever reason. Remember, this is potentially his last year in Washington. They've got a decision to make on him, whether they want him back or not. He was tendered this offseason, so he's an unrestricted free agent this offseason, and they've got a decision to make as to whether if they want him back or if they just want to kind of redo and revamp the wide receiver position as a whole. We'll see what they decide to do. Jared Patterson was very solid today. I like the way he ran the football. Derek B, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Thank you for being a member of the MOBB. My guy Derek B writes, "We gave the Cowboys the East and the Eagles playoffs in 4 games. That's exactly what we did. But, it is what it is. I mean, we had our opportunities. Everything we wanted was right there in front of us. You can't ask for much better than after the start we had to the season at 2-6 to get to 6-6 and have 2 home games coming up against the 2 teams that you need to beat in order to try to make a run at the playoffs. You can't ask for it much better than that. And we shit the bed against Dallas twice, and we shit the bed against the Eagles twice. I mean, it's really quite simple. I would have loved, and this is why I wasn't a fan. I know a lot of you love this 5 games in 5 weeks. I want my NFC East game spread out. I would have much rather taken an opportunity to go after the Eagles earlier in the season and then play them again later. I would have much rather had a chance at Dallas earlier in the season and then played them later. I don't want my games condensed this way because even if it had worked out for us and we somehow came out of this stretch, 4-1 or whatever, I still don't like the concept of playing these games so close together. You're going to play one team in the division more likely than not in a situation where you play them twice in 4 weeks or twice in 3 weeks or something like that because of the way they've set the schedule up. But to play two teams like this, they couldn't have inserted the Giants in and then the Eagles last, or the Giants in and then the Cowboys last. Like, we played the Giants in week 2 and we're not playing again until week 18. You're going to make us play the Cowboys and the Eagles twice like that? Like, I thought that was stupid. Anyway, it doesn't matter. At the end of the day, those teams took care of business. The Cowboys took care of business and the Eagles took care of business. And now those two teams, more likely than not, the Cowboys are definitely going to the playoffs, and the Eagles look like they're going to punch their ticket here shortly, are going to go to the playoffs. Good for those teams. I got nothing against either one of those teams for doing what they needed to do. And it's one of those reminders that we got a long way to go. You know, we're nowhere near where we need to be in order to be the team that breaks that cycle. No team has won the division 2 years in a row. We're not even remotely close to being the team to break that cycle. Not even close. Let's see. Just Andre, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Who writes, on a positive note, get to pick the QB they want. Like, I don't understand the context of that comment. This wasn't for the number 1 or 2 pick in the draft, so you don't get to pick anything you want. We still aren't in a position to just take a guy that we want. We're not number 1 overall. So Tony P56, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Who writes, we have young talent, and I hope our team does whatever it takes to get a top-tier quarterback in free agency. Still draft a quarterback, but we don't have time to wait for development. We don't have time to wait for development? Why not? You know, why don't we have time to wait for development? Says who? You know, what's stopping us from taking a quarterback and having him start week 1 and taking our lumps? I don't understand how we don't have time to develop a quarterback. Help me understand that concept. Did we win 10 games this year? Are we on the precipice of doing something big and don't want to stop the momentum? Because last time I checked, we're a double-digit losing team this season. So why don't we have time to develop a quarterback? Help me understand that concept. We've already taken a step back, so what difference does it make? Be one thing if we were coming off of the season we came off of last year, where you're trying to build upon winning the division and there's momentum already in place. It's no momentum. We took a step back already. So you might as well throw a young quarterback in there in the mix and give him an opportunity. So I think this is the perfect environment to put a young quarterback out there. If you think he's ready, don't just throw a young guy out there for the sake of throwing a young guy out there. And again, I've already stressed this. This is not the draft to need a quarterback. Matt Corral just injured himself in the bowl game. I don't know if you guys were paying attention. I'm pretty sure a lot of you were. So don't know the significance of that injury. Doesn't seem like it's super serious. It doesn't matter. He couldn't afford to get injured, and he wasn't already all that great to begin with. He wasn't that great of a quarterback to begin with. And you throw an injury on top of it, it's a murky situation. The quarterback situation this year is murky at best. This isn't the year to need a quarterback. So I'm still interested in what the hell they're going to ultimately do. Because again, if Kenny Pickett is, a lot of people have dubbed him, you know, a more athletically gifted Matt Ryan. If that is in fact the case, he may be the only guy worth drafting with 5 or 6 teams looking to get one guy. I mean, it's a tough spot to be in if you're Washington, needing a quarterback and really not having the amount of resources necessary to make you feel good about selecting one. We'll see what happens. Anyhow, John Perez, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you, my guy JP. Writes, first off, glad you're in good spirits after hearing you got the Rona. Appreciate that. Secondly, Ron's got to be thinking about getting a quarterback by now. After Ron been thinking about getting a quarterback. I don't think at any point this season Ron was totally sold on Taylor Heinicke being the guy. I think they were sold on him at bare minimum being a quality. And I've already said this, and I think I said this after week number 5 against New Orleans. He is a high-level NFL backup quarterback, the kind of guy that comes in for a 4-game stretch when your starting quarterback goes down with a broken thumb. He's got to miss 4 to 6 weeks, and you need your quarterback backup to come in and keep the ship steady at a bare minimum. Heineke can come in and do that. He's a high-level NFL backup quarterback, but he's nobody's starter. And I think Ron had already acknowledged that. But, this stretch of football, I think, really solidified that for him. If there were any doubts, any questions, that first Cowboys game to me was the one where if Ron was on the fence, that had to scare him shitless because Heineke was absolutely out of his league in that football game. And so he's really struggled, down the stretch of this season. People can make the excuse, oh, well, he only has XYZ starts. That's fine. But at the end of the day, he didn't get drafted for a reason. He was out of the league for a reason. He's not an NFL starter, but I do think he has a place in this league as a high-level backup quarterback. Ron always was thinking about upgrading the quarterback position. There's a reason Ron didn't just give Heineke the job. Remember, they tried to go after Matthew Stafford. They didn't give this job to Heineke. They gave it to Ryan Fitzpatrick. Like they were looking for somebody other than Taylor Heineke, but they ultimately had to come back to Taylor Heineke. So Ron and company were never sold on Heineke. They knew what his game looked like from Carolina. They just wanted a more extended look after the injury to Ryan Fitzpatrick. They got it. They know what they have now, and now they can proceed. They can move forward. And I you know what? I prefer it this way, because I didn't want to live with the what if. What if Heineke actually is really good? What if they should have given him an opportunity? What if they gave the wrong guy the keys to the car and we'll never know how good Heineke? We don't have to deal with that. That's not lingering. That's not hanging over anybody's head. Now we know. None of the quarterbacks on the roster are the guy. It isn't Kyle Allen. It isn't Taylor Heineke. Now you can move forward knowing that nobody on the roster is a franchise quarterback. That guy doesn't exist on the team right now. They've got to go out and get that guy, whether he's on someone else's roster or he's in the draft. That guy isn't here in Washington, and that's refreshing to know. Jason Rogers, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you, my guy. Uncle Jay writes, I don't know about our offensive coordinator. I feel he is overcomplicating the offense and doesn't have the players to pull it off. I always struggle with Scott Turner's situational awareness. I talk about that all the time. I think he struggles with understanding the game, the time, when to do this, when to do that. I actually thought Nick Sirianni did a tremendous job in this game of just staying true to who they've been during their resurgence. They got stopped on a 4th down running it in the first half. Okay. They said, all right, you got us that time. So they get another 4th down. And it was 4th and 2. It wasn't 4th and inches. It was 4th and 2, 4th and goal from the 2. And he ran it. And they scored a touchdown. Like, I said, oh, that's, what? That's ballsy. They get in another 4th and goal situation. You know what they do? They run a toss. They run it again. I said, you know what? Nick Sirianni understands who the hell they are. And you know what? That's refreshing when your guy understands what they are as a football team. Our guy doesn't understand who we are because we don't even know who the hell we are. We don't know if we're a running team. We don't know if we're a passing team. We don't know what the hell we are. And Scott Turner is as confused as anyone else out there. And I think he wants this team to have more weapons offensively than it does. I think he thinks his quarterback is better than what he is. I think they call the game as if they've got Ryan Fitzpatrick under center or established veteran quarterback that's going to run the offense the way they want it. And that's just not Taylor Heineke. So I feel like the offensive coordinator position is one that definitely should be in question, but he's not going anywhere. Ron's not getting rid of him. And you know what? If given a better quarterback, maybe his play calling will look a lot better. But and some more weapons, because frankly, the offense, while we made it out to be this, dynamic, unit that has all this talent, it wasn't that much different than it was last year, with no Kurt. We still didn't have a number 2 receiver with no Curtis Samuel for the bulk of the season. De'Ami Brown was essentially AGG. He just took, we swapped out one, rookie receiver for another rookie receiver because he didn't do anything this year, did De'Ami Brown. So that was pretty much the same. The biggest difference from last year is that we had Hump in the slot, and that was what Steven Sims Jr. was supposed to be, but he wasn't. Or you could even say that DeAndre Carter was what Steven Sims Jr. was supposed to be. And those 2 guys stepped up, but you still didn't have Logan Thomas. You didn't have J.D. McKissick for the final stretch of the season. And I don't think a lot of people really understood the impact that a J.D. McKissick has on this offense. But you see how much it hurt us in critical situations when you don't have 41 to get the football to. So at the end of the day, I'm not the biggest Scott Turner fan. I don't think he's the worst like some of you do. I don't think he is all that great either. Somewhere in between is where he is as a play caller. But we don't have a lot of talent, man, either. Like he doesn't have a ton to work with. So it's a tough position to be in to really judge him because we're not overly talented. With what we put out on the field, with all the injuries that we have, we're not a really talented bunch right now. So, Metaphor, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Thank you for being a member of the MOBB who writes, "Hey, Lou, what's up, Metaphor? Salvation Army isn't returning my calls. Could have won. 3rd down sacks. Throw to Milne on 4th and 5. I said the same thing watching the game. Last TLH ball was good. Feet tangled next year. I didn't think that was a good ball. You don't throw that football. Like John Bates isn't going up, climbing the ladder and getting that thing. That's not a good ball. I didn't think that was a good decision. That ball has to go somewhere else. Or again, it was 1st down. It wasn't 3rd and 10. It wasn't 4th and 10 where you feel the need to force something. It's 1st down. Plenty of time left from the Eagles 20. You don't like what you see? Throw it out the back of the end zone. Let's get another play call. Anyway, the Milne 4th and 5 was something I was going to bring up eventually. I'm glad you brought it up, though. That was, first of all, he was going to be short even if he caught it. That's number one. Like, why are we throwing the ball to a rookie in that situation? But that's Heineke panicking, throwing off his back foot again. Like, at that point, I need you to extend. It's 4th down. I need you to extend and make something happen. Heineke's inability to gauge the situation. He's not that dissimilar from Scott Turner in terms of situational awareness. Heineke seemed to lack that. As the season wore on, he seemed to be confused when he should run, when he should extend. He started taking stupid sacks. He wasn't decisive enough. And that was all year long. He was never really truly decisive. I think he was more concerned with proving to everyone that he could throw from the pocket, that he isn't this off-script, off-schedule magician, but he's a guy that can operate from the pocket. Remember that Giants game? We were all excited that the first start he had of the season, week 2, and we were like, man, his off-schedule ability is going to be crazy and off the charts. And then he didn't run at all in that game. And he threw from the pocket and he shredded the Giants, and we're like, wow, okay, that was different. That wasn't really what we were expecting. Well, I think he's been chasing that ghost the remainder of the season. And I wanted him to play more like he did against Atlanta, where he was running around, making shit happen, extending plays, using his legs to pick up yards. I wanted that Taylor Heineke. And we never really got that guy after that Atlanta game. In the Green Bay game, he was phenomenal using his legs, but we didn't score any points. We were 0-5 in the red zone. So I feel like the decision to throw it to Milne was a bad one, first and foremost. Like, if it's 4th and 5 and you're going to a rookie who, conveniently enough, because he's a rookie, runs the route 1 yard short of the sticks anyway. So even if he catches it, he's short. Why are you throwing a football to Dax Milne? You got Adam Humphries. You got Terry McLaurin. You got all these guys you can get the football to, and you're going to throw it to Dax Milne? Really? And I don't think Scott Turner drew up a play to get it to Dax Milne. But still, I mean, the fact that that's what we're doing on 4th and 5, it to me speaks to where we are as a team right now. It's a microcosm of where this season is gone. So, There were some bad sacks taken by Heineke on third down. I thought the Eagles got some good pressure. And then Heineke just being indecisive. Run, take off. Don't stand there, run. Don't keep backpedaling, run. Do something. Batted balls down. I can't. It's enough of that. Enough of that. It's enough of Heineke. HTTR for life. Thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Thank you for being a member of the MOBB. Who writes, was gone for 3/4 of this game. Game summary. Yeah, I mean, really what it was Washington came out, was aggressive early. The opening drive was beautiful. They went right down the field, scored a touchdown. Jarrett Patterson had a touchdown run from about 12 yards out to get the scoring started. The defense played really well early on. Got out to a 10-0 lead, just like we did the first time against the Eagles. Then field goaled them to death. We scored on every single possession in the first half and ended up with 16 points. That's loser football. You score every single possession of the first half, and all you have to show for it is 16 points. You're begging to lose. On the bright side, Joey Sly, he's a sly guy. Had a 55-yard field goal to end the first half. So that's a positive. I think he's the kicker of the future for the time being. So that was something good to feel, that was something to feel good about, but didn't score a single point in the second half after that field goal to send us to halftime. Up 16-7 at half. Washington's defense had a chance to get ample stops in the second half. They failed. I thought Jack Del Rio was a little bit too passive aggressive. After a couple of Lane Johnson false starts, he decided, I'm not going to blitz. And Hurts made him pay, rolling out of the pocket and finding a receiver down the field. So, they would either had to settle for a long field goal or they would have punted. But instead, you let them get into a position where they could get, first and goal from about the 8. And then they ended up getting in the end zone on a 4th down toss. And had a chance to get a stop there. Cole Holcomb made a great play on 3rd down on goal to stop Boston Scott from getting in, and then you let him run a pitch play. And that's part of the lack of speed, not having a Chase Young, a Montez Sweat. I remember one time at a time where pitches and tosses were illegal against this team. What? You're not running outside against Montez Sweat and Chase Young? Yeah, right. Go ahead. Knock yourself out. They're going to smoke that pitch to the outside and blow it up. But when you got Casey Toohill and Rotini Bumney and guys like that in the game, and William Bradley King, there's no one afraid to get to the edges. And so, by the way, also having David Mayo in the game at linebacker, there's only so much you can get done. So they got a toss, got in the end zone on 4th and 2, or 4th and goal from the 2, and cut the lead to 2 at 16-14. And then both teams kind of got shut down for a little while there. And then the Eagles got some great field position because Heineke took a bad sack on a 3rd down that forced us to punt. And the guy that we had punting, bless his heart, he was terrible. Kept giving the Eagles great field position. And they finally capitalized, got a field goal out of one of them. And then we went for it on 4th and 5 from right around midfield. And they throw a 5-yard out, what should have been a 5-yard out, a 4-yard out to Dax Milne, who didn't catch it anyway, but he would have been short had he caught it. Eagles take over. They end up getting another field goal. And that set the stage, 20-16. Washington with the football, 2:09 left or something like that, 2:06. And get a completion of John Bates for a 1st down right before the 2-minute warning to set up, a situation where Washington's got 1 timeout and 2 minutes to drive the length of the field. And Heineke did what Heineke's done all season. He got us in position. He moved us right down the field, steady diet of checkdowns and good decisions. And we were right in striking distance with 30 seconds left at the Eagles' 20-yard line, 1st and 10. And we use our last timeout. And then Heineke decides he wants to try to layer one over the defense to tight end John Bates, airmails it right to the safety in the end zone. And that's all she wrote. Game, set, match. Eagles win 20-16. to 16. J Sauer 1990. Thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Thank you for being a member of the MOBB, who writes, Patterson starts next year with Terry, Cam, and Brown, followed by Logan and Bates. No Taylor. I don't think Patterson starts next year. So we'll start there. Terry is going to be back. He'll be getting an extension. That's the first order of business this offseason, is to re-sign Terry McLaurin. I think that'll get done sooner rather than later. I don't know if Cam will be back or not. I think they may want him back, but we'll see. De'Ami Brown will, I think, have a bigger role. Obviously, you didn't even name Curtis Samuel, so right off the bat, your whole entire post is flawed because he's in the mix. And I think De'Ami Brown will have a bigger role. I don't think they're going to bring back Adam Humphries, even though I thought he was clutch for us this year. I think they're going to allow, Dax Milne to take his spot. We'll see. It's a lot of interesting decisions to be made for this team next year. Another one is Ricky Seals-Jones. Played well at times, but couldn't stay healthy. Is that a guy they want to bring back? J.D. McKissick, is that a guy they want to bring back? A lot of decisions to be made this offseason, that is for sure. We'll see what happens, however. Rob Yu, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Thank you for being a member of the MOBB, who writes, our offensive tackles really struggled today. Eagles fans suck. Our offensive tackles struggled because our offensive tackles don't bend well, especially Cornelius Lucas. He's very stiff. And what happened was guys like Joshua Sweat were just getting up underneath them and bending that corner. And if you get a guy that's athletically gifted that can bend, you're going to give Cornelius Lucas problems. And that's what happened a lot of times, is Josh Sweat beat him off the ball and then was able to bend and shorten and flatten that corner, shorten that edge, get to the quarterback. That's a problem that I see with Charles Leno Jr. as well. When you get taller guys, they have a tough time bending at the knees. They like to bend at the waist. And that's how you get beat if you don't get your hands on a guy. And I thought the Eagles did a really good job of, forcing Heineke to have to step up. And when he didn't have anywhere to step up, that's when the sacks usually happen. But I always thought there was somewhere to escape, and Heineke just took too long to make a decision. And that's where the sacks come. Trevor Patch, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Thank you for being a member of the MOBB, who writes, Lou, glad you're well. Thank you, Trevor. Says picking a quarterback in the first round is the quick way for Ron to find the door. Corral and Pickett aren't much better than Taylor Heineke. Build the trenches. Something has to be done at quarterback. You can't go in the next season with the position being the same way it was this year. So that's why it's not up to us to decide if this quarterback crop is good enough. I think it stinks, but that's what they get paid to do. They got to figure this shit out. They got to figure out, is there a quarterback in the draft to their liking? They got to figure, or one worth developing. They got to figure out, is there a quarterback in free agency that they can get their hands on that upgrades the position? They got to figure some things out. Do we bring Ryan Fitzpatrick back at 87 years old with a broken hip? Like, they've got decisions to make all over the place, but they've got to do something. They cannot roll Taylor Heineke out as the starter next year, unchallenged, or, Kyle Allen. Like, they can't do that. They have to do something at the position. So whether it's one of these young guys in the draft, whether it's somebody that we're not thinking about in free agency, something has to be done, and something will be done. So the question isn't what if they're going to do something, it's what are they going to do? So we'll see. Would you like them to take an offensive lineman? Sure, but like they proved last year, it doesn't have to be in the first round. Cosme was a really good pickup. You hate that he can't stay healthy and now he's got COVID, but at the end of the day, when he's played well. So they've proven that they can find guys elsewhere Sheriff, that's another decision that they've got to make this offseason. I prefer they just let him walk personally. Don't want to pay that kind of money to a guard. I'd rather spread that money out amongst different guys that they may want to bring back, like a Cole Holcomb is another guy that they'll have, they'll have to make a decision on this offseason, much like Terry in that same 19 draft. I think those guys are cornerstones of this football team. You got to bring both of those guys back, and so decisions. But the first starts with the quarterback position, and they're going to make a decision. It's just whether it's going to be the draft or free agency, but something will be done. Tiago Kahu, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Who writes, "Hi, from Brazil, man. We need Corral." I like Matt Corral. I don't love him. And we'll see. Again, he's another one of these smaller, diminutive quarterbacks. Like, I'm so over the 6'1" dude, because that's what we've had here. I'm over that. I want a big strapping guy, but they don't grow on trees. Like, I just watched the Bengals beat the Chiefs, and the last 2 weeks I've gotten to watch and salivate over that Bengals offense and all the weapons that they've acquired and amassed. Like, I've said this over the years. The Bengals, and I've told you guys, there are about 5 or 6 teams that just do the draft well. I told you Dallas is one of those teams. Cincinnati is one of those teams I've told you that they do the draft well. They always have talent on their team. And you look at what they've assembled with Jamar Chase, Tyler Boyd, and T. Higgins. That is an elite trio of receivers with Joe Mixon and Joe Burrow pulling the strings. Their offense is flawless. I mean, it truly, really is. If there's any complaint, it's that they don't have a, really game-changing tight end. But I like CJ Uzomah more so than probably most do out there. Their offensive line isn't great, but it's good enough. That group over there, so much fun to watch. It's ridiculous. And when you look at the best offenses in the league, that's what they look like. You look at Dallas's offense. They got 3. They could go 4 receivers deep. They got 2 or 3 tight ends that can hurt you. They got 2 different backs that can give it to you. And then they got Zeke. Then they have Dak. You look at the Cardinals offense. When DeAndre Hopkins is healthy, you won't find a more talented receiver group in the league than what the Arizona Cardinals can put on the football field. Then they've got all kinds of running backs out of the backfield, Chase Edmonds or James Conner, who shocked the hell out of me this year with the way he's been playing. All of these different weapons that they can put on the field. And then you got Kyler Murray pulling the string. Like, that's what you're aiming for. That's the new way of the league. That's what the Chiefs look like with Mahomes and Hill and Kelsey and all the guys. That's the wave of the future. We have to catch up. We're losing right now. We don't look anything like that. And I don't think Matt Corral is the answer. I don't think he changes the game. He's not a needle mover. I don't want to be stuck where the Eagles are going to be stuck, in neutral in 3 years when they realize this is the ceiling for Jalen Hurts. We can't go any further because this is as good as he gets. I don't want to be that. I don't want to put a cap on how good we can be. I want us to get a quarterback that gives us limitless potential, and I don't think that guy exists in this year's draft. That is the problem. If you're going to draft a quarterback, you don't just draft a guy just for the sake of drafting a guy. You draft a guy because you think he's the game changer. He's what the game's been missing. I don't see any of those guys in this year's draft. So that's where the frustration for me comes, is that you need a guy, but is there a guy? I don't see a guy. So then what do you do? We'll see. I don't think Matt Corral is that guy either, though. Barrett Downing, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Thank you for being a member of the MOBB. My guy BD writes, well, Lou, it's back to the drawing board. Man, we need a quarterback that can move the O better. Respect, Lou. Indeed, BD. I couldn't agree with you more. Heineke's had his moments, but there's a limit. There's a ceiling to what you can do with a guy like Taylor Heineke. And there's a lot of teams like what I just described to you is the situation the Browns find themselves in. Like, they got to pay Baker Mayfield an inordinate amount of money or else he walks. And they don't want to pay him that kind of money. He's not a game changer. He's not a difference maker. He's a game manager. Joe Burrow and Justin Herbert and Josh Allen and those are the future. Those guys are the future of the NFL. That's what the NFL's future looks like. That's what teams should be striving and attaining to go out and get at the quarterback position. Again, those quarterbacks do not grow on trees. But that, if you want to know what the future of the NFL looks like, that's what it looks like. What you want to avoid is a Browns situation like they have with Baker Mayfield, where they're like, shit, what do we do? Baker's going to want a deal that looks something like what, Lamar Jackson or, some of these other guys. He's going to want this inordinate amount of money, right? And we don't want to pay it to him because we know he's not going to elevate us. But you don't have a choice. That's how this thing goes in the NFL. You got a guy, you want to keep your guy, you got to pay your guy. But there's a ceiling on what you can do with Baker Mayfield at quarterback. That's what we're looking to avoid. We don't want ceilings. We don't want a roof. We want limitless potential. I don't think you find that in this year's draft. So we'll see what happens. Rob U, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Double up. Thank you for doubling up, Rob U. Greatly appreciate you. Who writes, you like Leighton Vander Esch as a FA at linebacker? No, I don't. I don't like his injury history. He's been okay for Dallas. Cole Holcomb is better than Leighton Vander Esch at this point of his career. I'd rather just re-sign Cole Holcomb and draft a young guy and keep it pushing. You know what I mean? Leighton Vander Esch burst onto the scene, but I think his best football might be behind him. So I'm good on Leighton Vander Esch. Kevin the PRF, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Thank you for being a member of the MOBB, who writes, is field position a forgotten asset? Disagree on going for it on that 4th and 4 despite our defense playing poorly when it counts. I actually liked the decision to go for it there. I would have done the same exact thing because the way I viewed it was you had a garbage punter out there that you weren't going to get the kind of, like, this wasn't Tress Way that was punting. This was this clown. I don't even know his name. He wasn't gonna pin the Eagles inside their own inside their own 10-yard line. They were probably gonna start that possession, at their own 22. Like, that's not that big of a trade-off. Literally, you would have lost 28 yards of field position. It sounds like a lot, but the Eagles could have gotten enough first downs to move it right back into that position, and you're no worse for the wear. I thought at that moment of the game, with the time that was left on the clock and knowing that we were going to have to win this game on offense more so than defense, I thought that was the right move. You're at midfield. You haven't seen that was the best field position we had and best movement all day in the second half. We had been pretty much stagnant the entire second half. You don't know if you're going to get in a better position than that or not. And the last time the Eagles had a chance to really bleed clock and pick up, they had that possession to start the second half, 14 plays, 75 yards, 7 minutes and some change. They would cap it off with a touchdown. Like, you didn't want that to happen and the end of the game happened. So to me, it was the best decision because either the Eagles are going to stop us, but they can't run out the rest of the clock. More likely than not, they're going to have to do something with the football, kick a field goal, score a touchdown, something. Or we're going to get this first down and we're going to have a chance to maybe win the game. So I like the decision. I didn't have a problem with it. Big Money Sonny, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Thank you for being a member of the MOBB, who writes, "Sup, Lou? Sup, Big Money Sonny?" Writes, "I'm fed up with the slow starts and the way we ended the season was embarrassing. I don't think we find a quarterback in the offseason or the draft. Peace." I think that's the thing that is the most frustrating for me right now as a fan in the season, not even talking about off season, is the inability to get off to a respectable start to the season. That to me is the biggest hindrance of this team. I told you guys the craziest thing that I saw when we when we beat the Tampa Bay Buccaneers to get to 3-6. And really it was, I think it was the 3-6. It said that was the best start we had since 2018. 3-6, 2-6, 2-5. Any of those, pick one. They're all better than anything we've done since 2018. Come on, man. That's such loser football. Seriously? We haven't started better than 3-6 in 4 years? Yeah, pretty much. That's every year we get out of the gates and we stink. 2019, we were one of the worst teams in football. We knew we were going to be bad that year. That wasn't a surprise. 2020, we were 1-5. You know, we beat the Cowboys going into our bye week to get to 2-5. Then we promptly come out of the bye, lose to the Giants, lose to the Lions, and we're 2-7. So 3-6 was our best start since 2018. I mean, unbelievable. That we can't keep doing that and expecting something magical to happen. Like, good teams don't dig themselves those kind of holes. So that's got to be something that but again, it's just like having a big time pitcher as a starter in Major League Baseball. You pay for pitching in baseball because that guy is a losing streak stopper. You've lost 3 in a row. Well, your ace is coming up and you're going to get a quality start out of him. And if you can find a way to put 3 runs on the board, he'll make it stick and you'll end your losing streak. That's what a quarterback can do for you in this league. You're struggling. The defense isn't playing well, whatever the case may be. Ball's not bouncing your way. You've got injuries. Your quarterback is supposed to find a way to will you to at least a victory, to stop you from losing 4 in a row. You don't have that guy. That's when the streak gets to 5 and 6 in a row loss. And next thing you know, you look up and you're 2-8 and your season's done. That's our problem right now is we don't have that guy to stop a skid or to win you a game, to put a team on his back and will you to a victory. Finishing the season off the way that we did, it's a bitter pill to swallow, but I don't worry about it as much because I know how we got here. You know, to me, the only legitimate loss of the last month was the first Cowboys loss. We didn't have J.D. McKissick and we didn't have Logan Thomas, and that sucked. I would have loved to have gone into that game with those 2 guys. At least give me Logan Thomas. You know, J.D. didn't play against the Vegas Raiders. But at least give me Logan Thomas. But to lose Thomas, to lose J.D., to not have Curtis Samuel, to not have any of that shit, you know, it really made it tough. But that was the last semblance of a credible football team that we had this season, that game. So if you're a rational fan, then no, you're not happy about losing 4 straight, but you understand what this is. At best, this was our B squad that the Eagles got today. And they almost won. That was the best the Eagles could put out on the football field, minus Miles Sanders. And we gave them our B squad, and we still almost won the game. Like, there's something to be said about that. Bottom line is, you tweak a few things, you get some guys back from injury. That's the biggest thing, is that you just got to get a bunch of guys back from injury. And then you fix the quarterback position. And again, it's not an overnight fix, but you're hoping that they figure this thing out. That's all you can hope. Just Andre, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Double up. Thank you for doubling up. Who writes, did the Washington football team make the right decision drafting Payne now in retrospect, in your opinion? I mean, why are you going all the way back to the 2018 NFL draft? That's a long way back. You know how I feel about Payne. It's almost like you're trying to get a reaction out of me or something. You already know how I feel about that draft pick. The players that I wanted were there. They're good football players in the league right now. It is what it is. Payne's here. It is what it is. That there's no reason to go back and revisit that again. It's not like we passed up an opportunity to take a quarterback to take Daron Payne, which is what we need right now. The bigger question is, and obviously hindsight is 2020, but the bigger question is Chase Young or Justin Herbert. But obviously you take Justin Herbert, but I didn't like Justin Herbert. In Washington, their brass didn't love Justin Herbert. So a lot of people didn't love Herbert. So it's easy to say now, oh, we made a mistake. But nobody was in love with Justin Herbert then. Hell, the Dolphins took Tua before they took Herbert. Everyone thought that of the three quarterbacks, Burrow, Tua, Herbert, they thought Herbert was the last of that trio. You could argue that of that group, he's the best. I'm still a Joe Burrow guy. Always will be. And he's showing it right now. Mustango, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Mustango writes, where do you see the team going now, Lou? You think we'll make some moves with the guys we have now? Trade Payne. How can you get better after this? I don't know where all of the trade Daron Payne stuff comes from after, I guess, the blow up last week on the sidelines. He's no longer a good football player and you have to get rid of him because you're not going to re-sign him. I don't think that's the way they're thinking. And remember, Daron Payne is going into the final year of his contract. They picked up the 5th-year option this past offseason, so you're literally going to have one more season of Daron Payne. No one's trading for 1 year of Daron Payne. Again, you're not going to get a ton of value there. Now, if you know you're not going to re-sign him and someone else thinks they have a chance to re-sign him, then, and they know what kind of football player they're getting, then you can, pull the trigger on that if you so choose. But right now, I don't think they're trading Daron Payne. Don't think he's going anywhere. How do you get better? Well, one, you just heal up. You get William Jackson, the third back. You get J.D. McKissick back if you decide to re-sign him. Logan Thomas back. You get Curtis Samuel back. You get Sam Cosmi back. You get some of these guys that you were supposed to be counting on this season in some massive roles back. That's number one. Number two, then you have tough decisions to make. Do you re-sign J.D. McKissick? What about Adam Humphries? What about Cam Sims? Do you re-sign any of those guys? Do you go ahead and offer an extension to Terry, which they're going to, Cole Holcomb, which I think they will do as well. Well, Brandon Sheriff, which I don't think they should, but I think they might ultimately do that. These are all decisions. A lot of big decisions are coming down the pipeline. J.D. McKissick is another one. So a lot of decisions to be made by this organization. Ricky Seals-Jones, what do you want to do with him? Do you want to bring him back or not? They've got decisions to make. Then they got to turn their attention. You always focus on your guys first because free agency comes first. So they've got to figure out how they want to attack their own guys first. And then after that, you start looking at other teams' free agents and the free agency crop out there. And then you turn your attention to the draft and figuring out what other spots can we fill on this roster with youth and guys that we think can help us grow moving forward. Because you're looking for cheap labor. You're looking for guys that will allow you to cut a corner or two so you don't have to pay big money for certain players. But if I'm Washington, you re-signed Jonathan Allen and Chase Roullier last offseason. I think this offseason, it's Terry, it's Cole Holcomb, and you continue to build the foundation of what you think is going to be the core of this football team moving forward. So I think that's what you do. That's how you approach the offseason. And then, we'll have plenty of time to dissect specific moves that can be made. But I think the biggest thing is to concentrate on your own guys. First things first. Terry, Cole, JD, Adam Humphries, those kinds of guys, Brandon Sheriff, all of those guys, they got to figure out what they want to do. Dejan Bell, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Who writes, screw it. New name coming, new safety, Kyle Hamilton. I think that's something that I haven't really given too much thought about, but it's coming. I'm not the biggest name guy, so it doesn't really impact me much. I told you I care more about the product on the field than anything off it. So, the name isn't really going to move the needle for me much. I know some of you really get caught up in the name, and that's fine. I'm going to care what the name is, because that's what we're going to be called for the next however many years. But at the end of the day, it's not going to change the fact that we don't have a quarterback, and that this is another losing double-digit season for this organization in however many years. So for me, as far as I'm concerned, the name is cool, but it doesn't change the fact that as an organization, we stink. So till that gets fixed, it doesn't really matter what we're called. We're garbage. So got to win games. Got to find a quarterback. Got to change this feeling of running on the hamster wheel. And until that happens, we can be called whatever we want. We could be the football team. We can be the Renegades. We could be the Red Wolves. We could be the Generals, the Senators. I don't really give a shit. The Defenders, what they call themselves. All of that shit is losing if you continue to lose 10, 11 games every year. So it doesn't matter. So we'll see what happens. Dylan Hinton, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Dylan Hinton writes, I want Baker Mayfield in free agency. Well, first of all, the Browns aren't going to just let him leave. Even if they can't reach an agreement on a deal with him, they're going to franchise tag him. You don't just let quarterbacks leave. That said, I just explained to you why you don't want Baker Mayfield. So I'm good on Baker Mayfield. We already see that he's a good NFL quarterback. He's not a great NFL quarterback. We're not striving for good. We're looking for great. We're looking for, again, if you're going to do it, you swing for the fences. And if you miss, you miss. Baker Mayfield is like a guy that constantly hits for average. Every now and again we'll put it over the fence, but he's going to make contact. And he'll hit a bevy of singles and doubles. He's a solid player, but he's not a game changer. He'll never win, MVP. He'll never carry a team. He's a good player. But I'm not looking for that. And neither should you as a fan. Mustango, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Double up. Thank you for doubling up, Mustango, who writes, could you see Washington trading for Matt Ryan? I hope not. I don't see the value in that. I don't know what his contractual situation is. I remember last year you couldn't trade for Matt Ryan because of how his contract was set up and how it would escalate. It didn't make any sense for Atlanta. Don't know if they're in the same spot or not, but Matt Ryan's old. Matt Ryan is a guy that is very frustrating, and I don't want to do the veteran, super old veteran quarterback that's hanging on for deal. We tried that this year, and he broke his hip. I don't want to go back to the old folks' home looking for a quarterback on his last legs like a Ben Roethlisberger to give him a chance to come here and roll over and die. That's not what I'm looking for. I want a young kid. I want my own project and somebody that we can work on. And if it works, cool. If it doesn't, we go back to the drawing board. But we're not in a position, like we're not in this win now mode. That's when you go and get a Matt Ryan. When you think you're close and you need a veteran quarterback to take you over the top. We're not close to anything. That's why getting a young quarterback is the perfect time right now, because he can grow with this young roster that we have. Jay Kurt 20, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Big Money Sonny, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Double up. Thank you for doubling up. Who writes, sadly frustrated, my man. It was a long season. Glad you are back and healthy. On a side note, what was the deal with Antonio Brown? I don't know, but that was his last game in the NFL. I can tell you this. He needs mental help. We've talked about this already. People are laughing at him It's not funny. The guy has mental issues. He's not medicated. He needs help. Okay? He needs help. This was his last opportunity in the league, and he just blew it because mentally he's not all there. He lost his damn mind for whatever reason. I don't know what was said. I don't know what happened, but that's not the way to react to it. Whatever happened, he lost his damn mind. And it was never all there to begin with. The man needs help. Big Money Sonny, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Who writes, everyone needs to stop the cap. Heineke ain't it. Kyle Allen ain't it. Wilson is not coming here. The fan base needs to deal with those facts. And neither is Deshaun Watson. Throw him in there as well. Like, he has a no trade clause. He can decide where he wants to go. He's not coming here either. So, yeah, like these are all things people need to really wrap their brain around. Like, Russell Wilson isn't coming home to save us. Deshaun Watson doesn't want to come to Washington. I don't blame him. And Heineke and Kyle Allen, I don't think there are many fans in the fan base that think either of those guys are it. You know, there may be a few Heineke stragglers out there. They're not many, you know, and if you find a couple, they're few and far between. It's not a lot. So I think this was the last, the last group of those guys that existed. This last 4-game stretch should have put them out of commission. You know, him playing in 3 out of these 4 games the way that he played. And he wasn't terrible today, you know, but when we needed him most, he didn't step up. I think this should have put them away. Metaphor, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Double up. Thank you for doubling up. Who writes, Mr. Two First Names needs to give his payback this year. It's not how it works. Injuries happen. It's a part of football. He didn't need to give back one red cent. You know, he put his body on the line. I thought Washington should have just put him on IR earlier this year. He's fought to try to play. It is what it is. It is what it is. Stephen Combs, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Thank you for being a member of the MOBB. Who writes, with Seattle, he said, for Payne, 2022 first, 23 first for Wilson. I know Seattle is good on the D-line, but they need to get younger. Maybe Collins too. Love you, Lou. Again, I see where this is going now because everybody's turned on Payne. He's obviously not going to be back now because he just got in a fight with the team captain. They were sitting right next to each other on the bench. They're best friends still. Everything's fine. Like, you guys can stop trying to you know what? You guys are funny. This time last year, it was Jonathan Allen that was in all of these trade talks. Throw Jonathan Allen in. Now this year, it's throw Deron Payne in every trade. You guys stop. Stop. That's all I'm going to say. Stop. Chauncey Davis, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Thank you for being a member of the MOBB. Chauncey Davis, my guy CD, the OG, writes, Lou, you can only be who you are. That first Dallas game showed us who we are. Disappointed in our downs, enjoyed our ups. I am just saying. The Dallas game showed us what we were at that time. And we weren't as good as we thought we could be. We were missing some critical pieces, but we had been missing critical pieces all season long, and that was before COVID. There was no excuse for that performance. That was the one for me that let me know we're not ready. We think we're ready, we're not ready. So that was the one that to me was the beginning of the end. Again, and that was without COVID ravaging the roster and any hopes of making the postseason. But it was a hell of a ride. This season was crazy. You know, the 2-6 start to the 6-6 after winning 4 straight. It was a hell of a ride. But you hate to see it come to an end the way that it did, but it did. Stephen Combs, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Double up. Thank you for doubling up, Stephen, who writes, I still see us on schedule during the rebuild. We have depth if COVID stays away and the units are better than 2 years ago. How to the Red Wolves? So I agree with you, Stephen, in that this rebuild, I think, is on schedule from this standpoint. The depth, as you mentioned, is light years better than what it was. I think top line talent wise, we have more of it now than we have ever had for, this organization. Still lagging behind the rest of the league. But when you look at some of the guys that we've acquired and some of the guys that we have and what we could be, I think the top line talent has increased. I think where Ron wanted to be here was, I think he would have loved to have already found a quarterback by now. I think he would have loved to have had a guy last year. Obviously, that didn't happen. I think Ron feels, the pressure of needing to get a guy this year, and I'm worried that pressure, because Ron understands now you're going into year 3, and you won the division in year 1, but you won it with a losing record. Now you lose double-digit games this year. Next year, if you go, 7-10, you're Jay Gruden all over again. Like, at this point, no one is going to give you any benefit of the doubt. There isn't any sweat equity that's been built up. So unless you have a quarterback that everyone can get excited about, similar to what the Chargers did last year, where they bring in Justin Herbert, and obviously they didn't want to start him. They had Tyrod Taylor, signed up and ready to go, and then he has the whole lung situation. In comes Herbert, and it, kind of worked out for him that he got all that experience. They stunk. They lost a bunch of games, but it was what they needed. It allowed their young quarterback to get his feet wet, and now look, they're on the precipice of making the postseason this year. I think that's what Ron would prefer to have happen next year, is to get a young quarterback, to let him play, to take your lumps, and then the year after that, be ready to go. Again, Ron sees this as the Buffalo Bills situation. So he wants a veteran quarterback to allow the young guy to come in and be a bridge. Then he wants the young quarterback to take the reins, and figure it out. And in year 2, that young quarterback helps his young team make the playoffs. So that would be year 4 of Ron. And he said it's 4 years. Well, that's why I feel like it's still on schedule, but it only is on schedule if you find a quarterback this offseason. I don't know if they're going to do that. Daniel Moore, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Who writes, Lou, did you see the stands collapse at the end of the game? FedEx is a death trap. No, I didn't see it collapse. I'm not shocked. It's a dump. But it's a dump that we're going to have to play in until 2027. So it is what it is. I did see someone posted a video. Someone sent me a video of both the Eagles fans and the Washington fans there saying Dallas sucks, which I'm like, you do know the Cowboys aren't playing in the game on the field. Why are we joining forces against Dallas? That's weird to me. But anyway, J-Mark, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Thank you for being a member of the MOBB, who writes, Sup, Lou? We are in the midst of some losing seasons. There is entirely too much to fix on this team. Everybody gets right, but us. TH is not it. Washington football team, thumbs down. There is a lot to fix, but I think it's all trending in the right direction. But if you don't have a quarterback, it's tough, this is what I've advocated, which is why I don't feel the same way a lot of you do. I've always advocated building up the roster and dropping the quarterback in the middle. Now, again, you got to find the right guy. and you got to have that guy hit the ground running when you do get him. But the ideal move, I call it the Seattle Seahawks method with Russell Wilson. Ron calls it the Buffalo Bills method with Josh Allen. You call it whatever you want. That's the kind of results I'm looking for, though. You build the infrastructure of the roster with core players. You'd like to start up front with the trenches, both sides of the ball, which we like to think our D-line is pretty good. Is it really? We'll find out. The offensive line, and then, you build the parts outside as you continue to fan out on both sides of the ball. Linebacker, secondary, on offense, running back, skill guys, tight end, receivers, that sort of thing. But I feel like we're trending in the right direction in that aspect of building the infrastructure. But again, none of that matters if you don't get the quarterback. So that's the biggest thing right now. Let's see. J. Kirk 20. Thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Double up. Thank you for doubling up. Greatly appreciate you. Who writes? Still believe in Ron's plan. Shaking my head. Year 3 will be pivotal for Ron. 3 out of 5 years is BS. Can't keep saying that we will be losing, that we still losing and you changing it by winning. I still believe in Ron's plan. I don't know what you guys thought this was. You thought he was going to come in and we were just magically going to start winning ball games. No, I don't. I told a lot of you that you were really. So I thought the division was going to be worse than what it was, which is what was going to account for us winning, And I told you the floor I thought was 7 wins, the ceiling was 10, and everything had to go perfectly for us to win 10. That said, I thought the division would be worse than what it was. I thought the Eagles were going to stink. I thought the Cowboys would be a little bit better, a better opponent for us to match up against, and that we'd find a way to win, 4 games in the division, which would give us a chance to win 9-10 games. But I told you that the floor for this team is 7 wins, and that's probably where we'll end up. And that's right around where we should be with the way our roster is set up and our quarterback position is set up. I don't know what you guys are expecting. Like, I don't really know what some of you as fans, again, some of you are literally fanatics, which is what fans is short for. You guys don't see the reality of the situation. You don't care. You just want to win 12 games. Well, there's a process to winning 12 games. There's a way you go about winning 12 games in this league. And we didn't follow any of those rules. We didn't stay healthy. We didn't protect the football. We didn't force turnovers. We don't have a quarterback. If you're going to manage the game, then you have to do those things. Well, we didn't do any of those things. We went through 4 different field goal kickers. That's all losing football. So I don't know what you guys are expecting. At the end of the day, this team, when Ron took over, we were the worst roster in football. Call it what you want. You can sit here and try to make it seem like it was something that we were the worst roster in football. When Ron Rivera took over, we were the worst roster in football. The only thing we could lay claim to was a defensive line that we were super excited about because we were getting Chase Young. That was it. To add to Montez Sweat, Jonathan Allen, Deron Payne, and Matt Ioannidis. That's the only thing we could hang our hats on. The rest of our roster was absolutely garbage. Yep, Terry was emerging, but we still didn't know exactly what he was. Cole Holcomb, we like him, but we didn't know. Like, our roster was ass. And then Ron got here, and he gave us depth. We didn't get a bunch of frontline starter guys, just more depth. Give us a chance to compete if we got injuries. Well, this year, he went out and got guys that we feel like are frontline guys. It wasn't Ronald Darby this offseason. It was William Jackson III, okay? It wasn't going out and getting Dontrell Inman. It was, hey, let's go out and get Curtis Samuel. Well, those guys, for Jackson's case, took a while, but he figured it out. And with Samuel, he just couldn't stay healthy. It happens. It's football. The amount of talent we've added is good. I like what we've gotten out of Sam Cosmi. I think Jamin Davis is continuing to grow as a football player, and he's only going to get better. I like what we got out of him this season. A lot of you wanted him to come on and be something that he wasn't. You can be critical of the pick. Knock yourself out. You're not wrong for being critical of the pick, but he's here. There's nothing you can do about it. You should want to see growth, and that's what you've seen from him this season. Sam Cosmi looks like a player. De'Ami Brown, for the second week in a row, had a nice catch, but that's a work in progress. I like what we're getting out of John Bates. And so you like some of the pieces that we've added via the draft. We'll see what they do this upcoming draft and how to continue to add to this team in free agency. But make no mistake about it. Year 3 of Ron's plan, which we're going into this offseason, it's a pivotal year, but I think they're on schedule. You have to get the quarterback, though. Got to get the quarterback. Chris Wilson, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you, who writes, this year's first and Deron Payne to the Raiders. For what? Jason Rogers, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. My guy, Uncle Jay, double up, thank you for doubling up, writes, way off topic, but as a black man disappointed in AB. I told you he needs help. He needs help. I'm not upset. I am not shocked by any of his behavior, because anybody that's been following the AB timeline knows that this man has a mental disorder, one that needs to be clinically diagnosed and medicine to be given out. He's got some kind, he's either bipolar or he is, I think he's bipolar. But he could be manic. He's got something going on. He needs help. And anybody that knows. C Dumphy 457. Thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. C Dumphy 457. Thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Big Money Sonny, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Who writes, meanwhile, the curse of Bruce Allen hasn't stopped the Raiders. They're in the mix. FYI, we stink. We're Berzuria, garbanzo beans, trash can water. But you know why they haven't died, right? The Raiders haven't died. Because they got a quarterback. Say what you want about, like, a lot of people like to shit on Derek Carr every year. Non-Raiders fans are trying to run Derek Carr out of Vegas. He's not this, he's not that. I said, I take Derek Carr in a heartbeat. I can't speak for anybody else out there, but Derek Carr was leading the league for most of the year in passing yards. And Darren Waller has been hurt the last 3 weeks, and all they've done is won 3 in a row. 2 on the road, 1 against the Browns. Granted, no Baker Mayfield, and half their team was out due to COVID. And now on the road against Indianapolis. But I don't care how it happens. They had to find ways to win. We left the Raiders on their deathbed 3 weeks ago. 2-3 weeks ago. And all they've done is win since. Beat the Browns, beat the Broncos. Now they beat the Colts. And they're trying to get a playoff spot. You know why they can do that? Because they got a quarterback. It's not rocket science, guys. Okay? If Taylor Heineke were the Raiders quarterback, they'd be sitting right where we are right now. They got Derek Carr. And if we had Derek Carr, our season would look drastically different. It's not rocket science, guys. You get a quarterback, you have a chance. You don't have a quarterback, you don't have a chance. J Sauer 1990, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Double up. Thank you for doubling up. Jay Sauer writes, I don't think Curtis stays healthy. I'm a big McKissick fan, but I don't know if they keep him or not. Terry is the greatest receiver we have had since Moss, but how long do you think he stays with a mediocre team? A lot of you guys don't understand the psyche of a player. Guys don't want to leave the team that drafted them. When you get drafted by a team, as long as they've done right by you, which Washington, for the most part, has done right by Terry McLaurin. Yeah, Terry may want better quarterbacking, but that's their job to sell him on, hey, we're going to get the quarterback here. And you've been excellent without one. Just imagine what happens when we get you one. Guys want to be a part of the solution. Nobody wants to run and hide. Like Terry has been here through some low moments. Jonathan Allen has been through some low moments here. They want to be able to say, we were here when this team was 3-13, and now look at us. Guys want to be a part of the solution. They don't want to leave. This is the team that drafted them. They want to prove this organization right. They want to get paid by the team that drafted them, the only place they've ever known and called home in the NFL. That's the goal of every player for the most part that gets drafted, is to be signed to a big contract by the team that drafted you. Terry's no different. Terry doesn't want to go anywhere. That's how this works. In case a lot of you out there don't understand that. That's how this works. We'll see what happens with Curtis, with JD, all of that. We'll see. The Black Al B, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Thank you for the super chat. My guy, Black Al B, writes, what it do, Lou? What it do, Black Al B? Happy New Year's, brother. Likewise, same to you and yours. I needed the Washington football team to do one damn thing, LOL. Now these pitches about to sneak in because my Vikings going to lose tonight. We tried, man. They gave a better effort than I thought they were going to give. More valiant than anything I had imagined when I sat down in front of my television tonight or this afternoon. So, yeah, they're going to get in. And you know what? They earned their way in. I can't even front. I can't even knock what they've done. I think the Eagles are one and done when they get to the playoffs, but they earn the right to play a playoff game. You know, I think the narrative on the Eagles is false because, you know, what's funny is they show all these statistics. Oh, this Eagles defense is giving up yada, 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 since yada, 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 yada. And the one thing that I see as the common denominator is their time of possession, their ability to run the football. It's keeping their defense is garbage. Their defense stinks. But their offense is keeping their defense off the field. So it's making their defense look like it's better than what it really is. Like if you've got a real quarterback, like they haven't played anybody good in months. They played us, we stink. All right. They played the Giants, they stink. And they've played the Lions and the Jets and all of these bad teams. They haven't played a good NFL offense in months. So I surmise that when they get to the playoffs, because everybody's good, they're going to play good teams and their defense is going to be exposed because their defense isn't any good. They don't get pressure on the quarterback consistently. Their secondary is average at best. And you can move the football on them. So they're going to have to run the football and play keep away. And it's easier to do that against the Lions and the Jets and Washington and the Giants and look damn good doing it. It's harder to do that against the Rams and the Cowboys and the Bucks and one of these teams that's going to win their division that they're going to have to see in the first round. Going to be a lot harder to do that against those teams. So we'll see. You know, I think they're all of this whole, this mirage that they've built, it'll come crashing down, when the playoffs get here. But you got to get there first. And they did that, and so I can't knock the hustle. Can't knock it at all. Rob, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Thank you for being a member of the MOBB once again, who writes, Lou, drafting a quarterback is the way to go, but the issue is that there isn't a single one in this draft that screams our guy. Again, that's why they get paid the big bucks. I agree with you. There isn't one guy that I look at and I say, gotta have him. He's a game changer. But that's not for us to figure out. That's for them to figure out. They need to find a guy that they love. And if they don't, then don't draft a quarterback. As hard as it's going to be for this fan base to get excited about not getting a quarterback, if you don't love a guy, then don't take one. They know the rules to the game. They got to play. If they find a guy, they love him, and they think that they can surprise some people by taking a guy and he's better than what people think, knock yourself out. But they can't do what they did with Jamin Davis last year in the first round at the quarterback position in this upcoming year's draft. You can't take a quarterback just because we need a quarterback and reach for one because that's a position of need, which is what they did on Jamin Davis. They can't do that at quarterback. If they do that again, they're going to be digging themselves their own grave. And before you know it, they'll be getting run out of town, him and all the guys that he brought here. So they got some interesting decisions to make, but the right thing to do is to not force the issue. Either you love a guy or you don't. They didn't love Justin Fields or Mac Jones, so they didn't trade up for him. Okay, I can respect that. If you don't love any of these guys, don't take them. And if you do, take one in the second or the third round. We'll see what happens. Gear Cell. Thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Gear Cell 1 writes, good coaching does not have 2 4-game losing streaks in a season. Don't have a choice but to stay with Ron's plan. OC and DC needs to go. Also, D-line coach needs to go or can go too. No, it's not ideal to have 2 4-game losing streaks in one season. Also, usually don't have a 4-game win streak sandwiched in between that. I can tell you the first 4-game losing streak, we just played teams that were better than us outside of the Saints. And even the Chiefs game was there for the taking. But this last 4-game win streak, losing streak, excuse me. I've already told you how I feel about it. I think there was one legitimate loss in the mix. And that was the first Dallas game. After that, it is what it is. I mean, it's not rocket science. But I don't disagree with you on anything you said with regards to the offensive coordinator, defensive coordinator, or the D-line coach. But I don't think anything's going to come of it. So I'm not going to harp on it. Not going to harp on it at all. John Livingston, my guy JL Smooth, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Who writes, thank you for being a member of the MOBB as well. What up, Lou? What up, JL Smooth? Writes, happy new year, my guy. Likewise to you and yours. Appreciate you. So Antonio Brown went full Vontae Davis and then some ugly, and then some. He says, ugly win for us, but ran for 200 yards. Good sign before the playoffs. It was an ugly win indeed, but you got it done. That's all that matters. Nobody cares about the aesthetics of anything this time of the year. Just find a way to win. And that's what you did. Started out slow, had the safety, and you didn't play well early in that game. You let the Falcons scratch and claw their way back, take the lead, all that good jazz. Josh Allen threw 3 picks. He was not great in the game, but again, found a way to win. That's all that matters. I hope Stephon Diggs is okay. Looked like he might have got concussed late in that game. Does it bode well for him playing next week against the Jets? You shouldn't need him in that game. But the Jets have been playing more inspired football. As you can see, they almost beat Tampa Bay today. And Antonio Brown, again, everyone's going to laugh and talk about what a clown he is. And again, some of that comes with the territory. The guy needs help, period. Michael White, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Thank you for being a member of the MOBB. Writes, positive note, found a kicker. I mean, that's cool. We came into the season with a kicker and we're going to leave with a kicker, just a different one. I mean, it's not like we came into the season and we had no kicker. We were, scratching and clawing and roaming the streets for one before the season. No, we had a dude. We didn't love him. but he was better than most of the teams, what most of the teams had in the league. So it's a minimal upgrade at kicker. I like Joey Sly a lot. He's a sly guy. Doo-doo. I like him a lot. But we weren't losing games because of a missed kick here or a missed kick there. You know, we weren't losing games by 2. We were losing games because our inability to score in the red zone and our inefficiency defensively to stop teams in the red zone. That's why we were losing games. Let's see. Big Money Sonny, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Big Money Sonny writes, side note, Lou, what does 2022 bring in regards to content? Mob, stand up, and stay proud. Finally, who is your pick to win the whole thing? There are going to be a lot of changes. You know, I don't know everything right now as far as, you know, just continued growth, obviously. But there will be some changes, as there are every year here on the Louie Tee Network. You'll just have to stay tuned to find out what they are. As far as winning the whole thing, I still have no idea. I think when it's all said and done, the Chiefs are still the team to beat in the AFC. And I stand firm behind that, even though they lost today. And I think in the NFC, if Green Bay gets the number 1 seed, I think all paths to the Super Bowl will go through Green Bay. I'm not confident in any one NFC team. Not a single one. Not Dallas, not Tampa Bay, not Green Bay, not the Rams, not the Cardinals. Nobody. None of these teams strike fear in anyone's heart. No team looks dominant. The Ravens with Tyler Huntley almost beat the Rams today. The Jets almost beat the Bucks today. You know, like, the NFC is a mess, but they're still finding ways to win, and that's all that matters. I go with Green Bay on the NFC side. I go with the Chiefs on the AFC side, and I think the Chiefs find a way to get it done. That's the way I see it right now. We'll see. Metaphor. Thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Who writes, cameraman needs to move the F out of the way with Ricky Seals-Jones. He's just doing his job, man. He's just doing his job. That's how that goes. Lord Brunson, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Who writes, good game. It was a good game. I enjoyed it thoroughly. I did. The only thing I didn't enjoy was the outcome, but I didn't expect it to be as close as it was, to be honest with you. I truly thought that we were going to get not necessarily annihilated, but I thought it would be similar to the last time we played the Eagles. I thought that we would be in the game early and then they would run away late. But we hung tough. We hung tough. It was a good game. We definitely hung tough. J Mart, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. J Mart writes, we are losing the talent battle badly. You have to have talent to win in the NFL, let alone the division. Until we fix the talent and scheme, we will lose. I think that there isn't as big a discrepancy in talent as you think. You I think, are looking at this roster from the standpoint of where they are right now with all the injuries. Now, again, don't really know what they're going to decide to do with some of the guys on the roster in terms of bringing them back or not bringing them back. But there's no Chase Young. And you can say he wasn't doing anything before he got injured. He's still Chase Young. There was no Montez Sweat today. There was no Chase Young today. There was no Logan Thomas today. There was no Curtis Samuel today. There was no J.D. McKissick. Like, these are some of the best players on the team. None of those guys were here today. If you're going to base the roster talent off of what you've been watching the last month, then you don't get it. You have to allow these guys to get healthy in order to gauge this team. Dallas is playing at full strength. Not a single guy, for the most part, that is of any consequence on their roster is hurt right now. They've got a full deck. You could pretty much say the same thing for the Philadelphia Eagles. They aren't missing any of their big-time guys. What you see is what you get. That is not the case with us at all. So for you to say we don't have any talent and that there's this big discrepancy, Dallas is clearly head and shoulders above the rest of the division. I will grant you that. I've said that, though. I've been saying that for years. That's the team that we have to chase, talent-wise. But we're not as far off as you think. But guys have to stay healthy. It's part of the NFL. Dallas wasn't healthy last year. Dallas won 6 games last year. Dallas healthy this year. Dallas has 11 wins and has a chance to get to 13 with 2 more. It's not rocket science. The teams that stay relatively healthy or have a game-changing quarterback have a chance. We've got some talent. We need more talent, but we're not void of talent. This isn't 2019. Chilled Dude. Thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Thank you for being a member of the MOBB. Writes, couldn't overcome all the adversity. Hashtag stay positive. There was a lot of adversity. You'd like to see the team rise above it, but there's only so much you can do. Again, you could play the next man up card, which is what we try to do. You can't next man up when you got 23 dudes on the COVID list. You can't there's no such thing as next man up. Sorry, not sorry. Yeah. There's only so much next man up you can do when you get some of the things that happen to us throughout the season happen. I mean, nobody's feeling sorry for anybody, you know. It is what it is. Couldn't, like you said, couldn't overcome the adversity. You'd like to see us do that, but we couldn't. Big Money Sonny, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Who writes, I feel like I'm in an abusive relationship at this point. I'm concerned the front office and coaching gets blown up soon. Thoughts? That's not something to be concerned with right now. They're going to have at least at a minimum 2 more years. But the key to all of this is finding a quarterback. If you don't do that, this thing will be over before it gets started. So we'll see what happens. BHHD Ty, thank you for the super chat. Writes, we're drafting Corral, Army kid, tough, and a leader. This is like the 3rd week in a row I've heard someone bring up the military. Like, I hope you guys aren't basing that whole theory on Ron Rivera's background and thinking that's just how he's deciding to take guys. You know, if all things are equal and you're looking for a tiebreaker, then sure. Being an Army kid and growing up in that environment may be the deciding factor, but they're not taking him based on the fact that he is an Army kid and he's disciplined and Ron can, you know, vouch for that growing up in that environment. That's not why they're going to take him. They're going to take him because they love him as a football player. And if he happens to have grown up in that environment, well, that's icing on the cake. That's not going to be the reason they take him. Trust me. I think you guys are reading into that a little bit too much. The Jamin Davis thing was interesting because they needed a linebacker. They saw his skill set. And I think the military thing put him over the top. He was like the anti Michael Parsons. Clean, squeaky clean background, military guy, the perfect guy you're looking to change a culture with. I told you guys a long time ago, you want a team full of Boy Scouts, go right ahead and go get one, but you're going to get your ass kicked by teams with dudes that are rough around the edges. We're seeing that. Jamin Davis is a good dude, man. Good kid. He ain't Michael Parsons. At some point, you got to be willing to roll the dice on a dude. If you've done your homework and you know that this kid has the character to get it done, he may just need a little bit of guidance. You got to be willing to do that. We want guys that are already ready to come in here, work, buzz cut, clean, shaven, never been in trouble a day in their life. We want those guys. But those guys are going to lead to you getting your ass kicked on a weekly basis. The good guys. We need dudes that's rough around the edges. Dogs. Told you we lack that. We lack dogs. Every week I'm watching Darius Leonard make some kind of ridiculous play. He had a stupid pick in this game against the Raiders. Every week I'm watching him make plays and I'm like, damn, I could sure use one of those. Not everybody has one of those. Okay? But you need a dog. You need a dog. We need dogs. We need something. I don't think Corral is it. And I don't think they're going to take him because he's an Army kid. The Black Al B. Thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Double up. Thank you for doubling up. Black Al B writes, Lou, y'all can come get nephews back if y'all want. Nah, we good. We good. That ship is sailed. Trevor Patch. Thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Who writes, transition to weekly Washington Report and podcast comeback. All of those things are in the works. You know what it is. Once the season's over, so will Washington Football Nightly. You'll get, the Washington Report. And obviously the podcast will be back at some point. Once we get our home life in order, everything will start to go back into its normal phase. But again, stay tuned for all of that. But that's a safe assumption to make, Trevor, for sure. Gignat the Big Mac. Thank you for the super chat. Who writes, Ron tried shortcuts with the playoffs instead of taking a guy when the class was good in 2021. Now he's kicking himself now with no QB. Now he's got to roll in the mud with an even worse QB class. Saw it coming. Now, to your point, the 20 class was much deeper. But I was an advocate for, if you don't love a guy, don't take him. And I love the top 3 prospects at the quarterback position in last year's draft. Those were Trey Lance, Zach Wilson, and Trevor Lawrence. And I was really more of a Zach Wilson, Trey Lance guy myself. I wasn't the biggest Trevor Lawrence fan. That said, it was 3 guys out of 5. I wasn't the biggest Mac Jones fan, and I definitely wasn't the biggest Justin Fields fan. They apparently weren't either. So they didn't take a guy. I don't have a problem with that. I don't want them taking a guy this year if they don't love him. Don't reach. Quarterback is the most important position. If you can make a mistake not taking a guy, as we did in 2019 when we didn't take Justin Herbert, which, again, hindsight is 2020. They did the right thing at the time. Obviously, looking back, revisionist history, they did the wrong thing. Easy to see now. In the moment, I thought they did the right thing, and I don't blame them and I don't fault them for doing what they did, getting Chase Young. Because I wanted Joe Burrow, and if you weren't getting Burrow, I was like, get Chase Young. That was the way I was wired then, and I don't apologize for that. Was it the right decision now, looking back? Of course not. But that was the decision that they made because they didn't love the other 2 quarterbacks in 19. I didn't either, especially Tua coming off of hip surgery. So then you get to 2020, same situation. Do you love any of these quarterbacks? Yeah, we love the first 3, but we're not in a position to get any of them. Okay, well, do you love any of the other 2? No, we don't. Okay, then don't reach for a guy, because the fastest way to lose your job and to have something blow up in your face is to take a quarterback that you don't love and have him stink like Dwayne Haskins. That's the easiest way to have some shit blow up. So I'd much rather you not take a quarterback and just keep waiting, and buying time until you do find the right guy, than to keep throwing darts at the dartboard and spending resources to get guys that aren't the right guy. Because that shit is a losing formula as well. So they didn't love any of the quarterbacks in the 2021 draft class that they had at their disposal in Mac Jones and Justin Fields. I didn't either. I don't blame them. Now, like you said, it's a weaker draft class. It is what it is. This is what you get paid to do. Either you identify a guy out of all these quarterbacks that you think can get it done, and it doesn't necessarily have to be in the first round. Could be in the second round. Could be in the third round. Or you say, to hell with the quarterback position altogether in this draft because it stinks. And you say, we'll get after it again next year. Okay. Cool with that too. That's not ideal. That's not where you want to be. But you got to do something. So if you don't do it in the draft, you have to do it in free agency. We're going to see. Washington Fan Forever 79. Thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Who writes, Payne will be a Washington member. We are 2 more years away to be good. I don't know what they're going to do with Daron Payne, but I think all of this conversation about trading him is ridiculous. I do think that. Because I don't see him getting traded. I could be wrong about that. I don't see them trading him because of the events of last week. And that's how fickle this fan base is. One thing happens and now, and a lot of people get sucked into things they see. One thing happens, you see on social media, people making trades with Daron Payne thrown in, and then people just run with it. And now that's the chic thing to do. Put together all these different trade package deals with Daron Payne as one of the headlines and throw in a couple first-round picks, try to make yourself look smart. That's dumb. You really make yourself look the opposite of that when you do that. Anyway, 2 more years is about right. If Ron's plan goes accordingly, 2 years is about right. Just Andre, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Who writes, Davis looked good in coverage. Why did Mayo get more playing time? I don't know. I remember seeing him on an arrow route or a Texas route over the middle of the field with Boston Scott, and I'm seeing David Mayo in the game getting cooked. And I'm like, is Jamin Davis not playing this week? And then 2 plays later, I see Jamin Davis, and I'm like, why in the hell is David Mayo in man-to-man coverage against Boston Scott when we got Jamin Davis on the roster? I don't know. I'm just going to say, I don't know. Metaphor, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Metaphor writes, Diami, great deep threat, but QB with no arm, like bringing a bathing suit to the desert. Let's relax with saying he's a bust. Situational success. I haven't had a lot of people say he's a bust, but I know how this fan base can be very fickle and they want immediate results. And so you probably have heard it a lot more than I have. I'm insulated though. I'm not in Redskin chat groups or anything like that because you're going to hear a lot of nonsense. And I choose to insulate myself away from a lot of that garbage. The bottom line is he's a rookie. And that's what happens in this league a lot of times with rookies. And De'Ami Brown was a one-trick pony coming out of North Carolina. He had one thing he could do really well, and that was run the deep ball. He still needed to learn how to run routes, how to tempo. And you heard what Ron Rivera said, that there was a lot he needed to continue to grow and work at. But it also helps when the quarterback is looking for him. And Heineke wasn't looking for him. And when Heineke did look for him, he would force it to him in double coverage, with no opportunity of really getting it to him. So I think De'Ami Brown's going to be fine. I like what I've seen from him in limited opportunities down the stretch. He's made a share of, a handful of plays this year that open your eyes. The leaping catch against the Giants, You know, the catch last week against Dallas, the catch this week. You've seen flashes. Now it's about him sustaining that and consistently producing that on a weekly basis. And that'll come with, you know, more opportunities and you know, better quarterback play. Tony P56, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Double up. Thank you for doubling up. Tony P56, who writes, we don't have time to wait for quarterback development because we may lose key pieces, the salary cap, or not wanting to re-sign. But then you said we're not overly talented. We're not overly talented, but we're more talented than we were 2-3 years ago, which I know is not saying much, but we're not bottom third of the league in talent. Okay, we're not that anymore. I think we're middle of the pack. We're middle of the pack, talent-wise. That now we might be closer towards the bottom third of the league in the middle, but we're still, I think, middle of the pack talent-wise. I think that with the development of a young quarterback, you would be developing the team at the same time. So what I'm telling you is we're not in a position to win anything right away, which is why you want to develop a quarterback. Don't worry about losing key pieces. What are you worried about losing key pieces for? We don't have a quarterback. You're not winning anything anyway. If the guy is worth keeping, we'll keep him here. Our salary cap is far from our biggest issue. If we want a guy, we can keep him. We don't have 1,000 players that are worth re-signing and, oh my God, what are we going to do? We're going to lose this guy. We only got like 7 or 8 dudes that you look at and say, hey, he under no circumstances can he leave. There are only like 7 or 8 of those guys. Everybody else, if they leave, that sucks. Okay, we'll be fine. We'll survive. You don't want Terry to leave. You don't want Cole Holcomb to leave. Brandon Sheriff leaves. Are you shedding a tear? I'm not. J.D. McKissick leaves. Are you shedding a tear? I'm not. Cam Sims leaves. Are you shedding a tear? I'm not. Would I like those guys back? Sure. But if they're not back, we'll be fine. Okay? Adam Humphries doesn't come back. You shedding a tear? I'm not. Damn, I really like Hump. Do the hump, the hump. Come on and do the hump. I like Hump. But we also have Dax Milne. So I want to see the young fella get some opportunities. And we can go down the list of players that were on a one-year deal. Ricky Seals-Jones leaves. Are you shedding a tear? I'm not. What core pieces are you referring to that we have to keep, that if we develop a quarterback, we won't be able to keep these guys because that window will close? We are one of the youngest teams in football. What are you talking about? Help me understand. The D-line is relatively young. The linebackers are very young. We don't have any other linebackers outside of this 2 starters. And if you want to throw Khaleke Hudson in there, knock yourself out. Outside of Jamin Davis and Cole Holcomb, who are you trying to salvage at linebacker? They're both young. They're not going anywhere. In the secondary, who are you trying to salvage on the back end that when we're ready to win, they're going to be older and we're going to either outgrow them or they're not going to be here? Kendall Fuller? William Jackson III? This is why you draft guys. They might have whiffed on Benjamin St. Juste because he can't stay healthy. But if he's healthy, he's shown us he can play ball. Offensively, same deal. Who are we waiting on? Who's going to be aged out of our growth? Like, that's why you don't go out and get a 35-year-old this player or a 32-year-old that player. Because by the time we're ready to win, that guy isn't going to be in the future plans. That's why when you look at what Ron's been doing in free agency, every one of these guys is 25, 26. We're not signing 29-year-olds anymore because that's not our window. All the young guys we're drafting, all the people we're signing in free agency, they're all on the same track. That's Ron's plan. So, again, help me. Who are the guys that are going to be out of this window that you speak of. What you talking about? Montez Sweat? If you want Montez Sweat and Chase Young back, you can have them back. We don't have a quarterback. Who are you paying big money to? As of right now, you can have whatever you like if you're Washington. Anything you want to do, it can be done. Now, some things are going to make it a lot tougher in the future, but you'll get there. You'll cross that bridge when you get there. There's nothing right now that we have that we can't keep if we want to keep it because we don't have a quarterback. So the big money item, that one big ticket item that hey, I got to put away X amount of bread because that contract's coming. We don't have that guy. So, as I mentioned before, this is the perfect time to develop a quarterback. Perfect time. Jeremiah Butler, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Jeremiah writes, Happy New Year, bro. Go Birds. Happy New Year to you and yours, man. Really appreciate you. Happy New Year's indeed. Thank you for the super chat, Jeremiah Butler. Let's see. John Livingston. Thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. My guy, JL Smooth. Double up. Thank you for doubling up. Right. So Lou, Tom Brady put AB in his home, got him another chance in the league, won a Super Bowl. I hope what happened on the sideline comes out. Pray for this man. He's in a bad way right now. It's just hard to understand. Everything you just said is facts. And I thought about the same thing. And that's why I know it's all mental. Like, Tom Brady wouldn't go out of his way to help AB if he didn't understand that there was more to the story than, just AB doing stupid shit. Freezing his feet off in a cryogenics lab because he fell asleep. It is more to the story than that. Man's got a lot going on upstairs and he needs help. So, let's see. Brandon Brantley, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Brandon writes, anybody still want to say the D is better without Chase? That was never an argument that I was willing to have. When you're winning, people love to make up these false narratives because it makes them feel better. I'm a Memphis Grizzlies fan, and we won 8 out of 9 with Ja Morant out of the lineup. And there was actually a small sector of the fan base saying, is this team better off without Ja Morant? And it made my head want to explode to the point where I was like, I can't do this. Because in the NBA, more so than any other sport, if you don't have a superstar, you don't have a chance. And you really need multiple superstars. But in order to have a puncher's chance, you got to have at least one superstar. And we got that in Memphis, and they're trying to run him out of town, talking crazy. The people that say things like that don't get it. Don't waste your breath trying to explain to them. I told you guys this a long time ago. That crowd, I wasn't going to entertain them. I'm not going to try to stop them from saying crazy stuff because if you're saying that, you're already crazy. I can't stop you from saying crazy things. I'm just not going to partake in the conversation. I put it this way. If you've ever been in a black barbershop, some of the worst sports conversations take place with the most inaccurate facts in a black barbershop. Okay. Some of the worst conversations I've ever heard in my life, sports-wise, have taken place at the barbershop. You know what I do? I used to, when I was much younger, get involved. And then I realized, what are you doing? You're talking to people that don't know what the hell they're talking about. Why are you wasting your breath? So now I just sit and I laugh. I say nothing. Don't drag me into the conversation because I'm not going to belittle myself and I'm not going to make my head hurt trying to explain something to you that you're not going to get. So for the crowd that thought that this defense somehow is better without Tez and Young, that's why I said I don't have time for this. Next comment. Those people still, some of them still exist. You can be disappointed in Chase Young's play this year. I was disappointed in Chase Young's play this year. Okay? There's nothing wrong with that. But to say that this defense is better without him and or Montez Sweat, yeah, right. Stop. So you're not going to hear too many people saying that now because we're not winning anymore. That was the easy, convenient thing to do. Oh, this defense is much more disciplined. That may be the case. They're not better. They may be more disciplined. That doesn't make them better. Joe Rockhead J, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you, Joe Rockhead J. Thank you for being a member of the MOBB Rights. We are not Seattle in 2012, he says. The O-line, the linebackers, the wide receiver, and secondary are developmental at best. Very good pieces, but very little is special. We aren't Seattle in 2012. We aren't the Buffalo Bills in 2018. You're right. We're not. We're trying, we're striving, we're attaining to be those teams. Who's to say that Cam Curl isn't a superstar in the making, that he's not going to continue to grow? Who's to say that Chase Young doesn't come back off this injury and get back to where we thought he was going to be in year 2? Who's to say Montez Sweat doesn't jump back on next year and tear it up? Who's to say that Jamin Davis doesn't make this monumental leap at linebacker next year? You don't know. So you can't say what we aren't yet. All you can say is that we don't have a quarterback. But from a roster standpoint, I think offensive line-wise, I take our offensive line over the Seattle offensive line in 2012 or the Buffalo offensive line in 2018 as they started to try to build around their young quarterbacks. At the end of the day, you got to just continue to build, continue to grow. Then you drop the quarterback in the middle. So all they can continue to do is continue to try to grow and build. That's it. That's all you can do. And in hopes that you find the quarterback and he's the guy and you drop him in the middle and it all works. Like it did for Seattle in 2012, like it did for Buffalo in 2018. And really it started for them in 2019 when he won, got them to the playoffs. But yeah. You get my drift. Hip Hop News Uncensored. Thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Hip Hop News Uncensored writes, bro, you salty. You was talking big stuff until the Cowboys and my birds cracked y'all skull. LOL. Payback is sweet. Hold this L. I'll take my L. We're going to end up in the same spot when it's all said and done. You just going to play an extra week of football than we will. That's it. That's all. I ain't got no reason to be salty. Our season was derailed by COVID-19, not injuries, because we've been dealing with injuries all year. You're relatively healthy right now. Dallas is relatively healthy right now. We are not. It is what it is. I'm going to take this L. I'm going to take all the L's we've got. We got 10 of them. We've been collecting them all year long. That doesn't change the fact that this team won 4 in a row. And when I was talking big talk, we were playing good ball and we weren't dealing with COVID and we were getting healthier. All that came crashing down in 1 week. Don't put yourself in the same box with the Cowboys because you're not the Cowboys. Okay. Y'all didn't do anything to us. Dallas was the one that really brought our season crashing to a halt. Dallas was really the team that did that. Don't try to prop yourself up into something that you're not. I got to give y'all credit because everybody thought y'all were a 6-5-4 win team this year. Y'all were going to stink. And y'all bucked that trend. So I got to give y'all credit for that. But let's not act as if y'all about to do something great because y'all not. And y'all beat us twice. But like I said, you beat the B squad today and you beat the F squad a week and a half ago. You get a golf clap from me. Go put your headphones back on and go listen to your hip hop and go be uncensored in a market where you know what you're talking about. You're in the wrong lane, son. All right. Stay in your lane. Go talk about Nas's album that he just dropped last week. We can talk about that. You probably know more about that than I do. You're in the wrong lane. Stay in your lane. Super Chef, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Thank you for being a member of the MOBB, who writes, I was on a phone live with Smoot and Jackson, Washington Post game, and they ended my call because I said, all we need is a praying mama to come in that locker room and encourage these fellas. Shaking my head. They won't try to hear that. They probably thought you were trying to be funny, and they ain't in a laughing mood right now. So that's probably why they hung up on you. They're not happy right now. So they had to bang on you. Metaphor, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Who writes, whatever happened to 4 supers, windshield wipers, etc.? That one went shoo right over my head. I have no idea what you are referring to. Honor Immortal, thank you for the super chat. Thank you for the super chat. Honor Immortal writes, any takeaways from this year? Yeah, Taylor Heineke isn't the guy, and I wanted to figure that out. Another takeaway would be that we don't need to pay, and I already knew this. I didn't want him back this year, but Brandon Sheriff doesn't need to be extended. Another takeaway is that this defense wasn't ready to take that next step. We thought we could lean on the defense to be, a consistent part of winning week in, week out, like something we could rely on every week going in. We know we're going to get this kind of performance from the defense. We're not there yet defensively. I would even take it a step further and say that Jack Del Rio, average as a defensive coordinator. I think the league is, I don't think he's evolving the way that he needs to. And really, I don't want to be that guy that says the league's passing him by. I think he needs to be more aggressive. I think he's too scared. And then offensive coordinator wise, I'm not impressed. And I think my biggest takeaway is that I don't think they're being coached well on the defensive line. Not happy with what we're doing on the defensive line at all. You got all this talent, and I don't think we're getting nearly enough out of it. But again, we're not going to do anything about it, so it's no need to really harp on it, honestly. Steven Taylor, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Who writes, definitely hindsight, but where you think we are with Kirk? It's hard to say. It really is. Kirk's a much more consistent quarterback. I think we're better off with him, obviously. But you know how I feel about Kirk. He should have been here. But I don't know how much better we are, with Kirk Cousins. But I think we're better than 6-10. Maybe split that difference. Maybe we're 8-8 right now with Kirk Cousins. Maybe you win 2 more games. Maybe he doesn't bring us back against Atlanta. Maybe he doesn't bring us back against the Giants. And so maybe you're still 6-10. I don't know. It's hard to say. Hard to say. Super Chef, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Double up. Thank you for doubling up. Who writes, bad teams play better than us. That's a false statement. Bad teams play like us because we're a bad team. So I don't think bad teams play better than us. The Jets are a bad team. They lost to Tampa Bay. We beat them. Like, it's just one of those things. You're not a good team. You don't take care of the football. You don't force turnovers. You don't do the little things that win you football games. I mean, a big difference between what we've done on the winning streak and what we did today. On the winning streak, that 4th and 5, we convert that. We find DeAndre Carter wide open for an 11-yard gain, and we move the sticks. On the losing streak, we force it to Dax Milne, and it gets broken up, and we turnover on downs. When you're good and things are going well, you press all the right buttons. When they're not going well, you press all the wrong buttons. So it is what it is. Luck, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. My guy Luck writes, sad as F this being the last home game. I'm not renewing my season tickets till we get a QB. I didn't knock anyone out today, but it was tempting. Please, I'm begging, go get a QB, please. First of all, I'm proud of you for showing restraint, not knocking anybody out and putting anybody to sleep today. Good job. That's number one. Number two, I don't blame you for not renewing your season tickets. I thought about getting some season tickets just so I could give them away to the mob, but it's just hard to commit to something like that, knowing that this is the kind of product every year we put this kind of product on the field. It's hard to sign up for that because 2-3 games a year I'm paying for that may not matter, may not mean a damn thing. We literally were this close to having half of the season not mean a thing. When we were 2-6 and we were supposed to lose to Tampa to drop to 2-7 and have this thing spiral out of control, we were this close to having the remaining home games at home against Seattle on a Monday night and at home for Dallas, and for all of those games were this close to not meaning a damn thing. But they ended up meaning something. So I don't blame you for not renewing your season tickets. I thought about getting some. I'm not getting any. And we need a quarterback. Be careful what you wish for. We begged for Dallas. We want Dallas. One time, I only said it once because I wanted Dallas. But I said, be careful what you wish for. You just might get it. Be careful what you guys are begging for. Don't just want a quarterback. Want the right quarterback. Don't say, get me a QB. You don't want a QB. Dwayne Haskins is a QB. You don't want a QB. You want the right QB. That's what you want. Make sure you're thinking the right way. All right. Luck, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Thank you for doubling up. Double up. Thank you for doubling up, Luck. Who writes, I went through hell to watch this BS. My serpentine belt popped off the 2021 on the way to the game. Ouch. Busted my ass on the steps leaving the house and all to come out and come on. He says, busted my ass on the steps leaving the house and all come on Washington football team. What the F? 3-hour drive home with the sore ass. As much as I would love to tell you that it's okay. I mean, that's how it is sometimes. Sore ass and a 3-hour drive. I don't know what you were expecting. Okay. After what happened last week and the week before that, I don't know what you were expecting, but I hope your ass feels better. That's the best I can deliver for you. King Saw, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Who writes, would you be mad if we tried to get Tua this offseason? How realistic is this move? We already heard that Washington isn't interested in Tua. JP Finley and others have reported that. Remember when the Dolphins were seriously mulling over the decision whether to pursue Deshaun Watson before the trade deadline. And if they would have done that, it would have made Tua available. And our name came up in like all these 3-team trades. And, JP Finley went to his sources and contacted them about how they felt about Tua. They weren't interested in Tua, obviously, in the draft in 2020, and they aren't interested in him now. So, and you know, most of the people around the league don't like Tua. They don't think Tua is that good. And I think Tua is better than most, but that's nor here nor there. They don't like Tua. They don't want Tua. And so they're not going to go after him. But I think Tua may be available because I do still think the Dolphins are going to go after Deshaun Watson. And I think ultimately that's where he ends up, is in Miami. And so that's going to make Tua expendable. And the question then becomes, where does Tua end up? We'll see. I don't think it's going to be here. Just Andre, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Just Andre writes, Chase's subpar season in part due to the D-line coach. I feel that way. But if you a dog, you're going to find a way to hunt anyway, despite your coaching or lack thereof. So I just don't think Chase was good this year, period. I do think the defensive line coach and the way he coaches has something to do with it. But again, and people have made this point, and I agree with them. If you a dog, you're going to still hunt regardless. If you that guy, just off of your raw ability alone, you're going to get 7 sacks. Just off of you just being you. He wasn't getting shit this year. So we'll see what happens. Metaphor, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. My guy Metaphor writes, Lou, you know, double up. Oh, okay. I got you. That became too much. That's all. You know, because you try to keep track of how many times somebody super chats, and then next thing you know, 6, it's 7, it's 8. You're like, okay, was this 6? Was this 7? Yeah, that's what happened to all that. It just became too much. After 2, then you just kind of like, all right, you know, I appreciate every single one, and I don't want you to feel like it's any less. But yeah, I got you now. You had to explain to me because I was being a little slow. Brandon Brantley, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Double up. Thank you for doubling up, Brandon, who writes, we found out Heineke is a more athletic Rex CG. Yeah, pretty much. I'd say that's a pretty good comp. Sure, why not? Except Rex could throw the deep ball, and Taylor cannot. Condo P, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Thank you for being a member of the MOBB and really the secretary of the Louie Tee Network, keeping everything in order. Writes, you're a real one, Lou. Thumbs up. Thank you, Condo P. No, you're a real one, Condo P. Really, truly do appreciate you. Big Money Sonny, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Who writes, Metaphor talking about windshield wiping after donating 4 or more supers. Yeah, he explained it. I was being slow. I was like, what are you talking about? I was lost. He says, anyhow, what's up next week, Lou? Is it worth covering the Giants game at all? I'm going to be here to the very bitter end. I'm not going anywhere. I'll be here. Because it's 18 weeks. It's not 17 anymore. So I'll be here. It's going to be rough because this reminds me, and we've had games like this in the past. Some of you should be used to this. We've had, and it seems like every year we play the Giants week 17, it always ends like this, where neither team is any good and you're just playing out the string. So, yeah. Michael White, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Double up. Thank you for doubling up. Who writes, with BSJ concussion issues, would you draft a cornerback? Even without him, I would draft a cornerback. We still need more depth at cornerback. So if you like a guy in the 4th round, I would take him. Yeah, for sure. Metaphor, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Who writes, all good, Lou. I get it. COVID fog. I would love to just, blame COVID for that, but I'm not going to allow myself to stoop to that level. I literally was just being slow. I had a moment where I was being slow and I needed you to help me, and you helped me. I ain't afraid to admit it. I'm not going to allow COVID, to take. I'm not going to take the COVID way out, the easy way out. I'm not going to do it. Anyway, I digress. That was the last super chat. Thank you guys for joining me. This was a fun game. There was a faint hope of the postseason still available. There was still that carrot dangling out in front of these players. I put to bed the whole playoff discussion after we lost to Philadelphia the first time. And, once COVID took effect of this team, it was over. It was done. And you can't expect guys to come back from COVID and just show up and you win ball games. That's not how this works. And now, having had COVID, I can tell you firsthand that your respiratory system doesn't just bounce back once you no longer have COVID. It takes a while. So I have even greater respect for some of these guys coming out there and trying to play, after having COVID that same week. So the bottom line is it was a fun ride this year. Injuries were too much to overcome, and then you throw COVID in there, and it was insurmountable. But they fought like hell today, gave the Eagles everything they could ask for. The Eagles just found a way to get it done. And that's what, good teams or teams that are playing good football, you don't want to confuse the two. That's what they found a way, because that's what we did. We weren't a good team. We were playing good football. And sometimes we get that confused. I'm notorious for getting that confused, where you're playing good football, but you're not actually a good team. You're just playing good football at that time. And that's what we were doing on the 4-game win streak. We were playing good football, but we weren't a good team. Because if you're a good team, it's sustainable. When you're playing good football, you're just hot right now. The ball's bouncing, the ball's bouncing your way. You're getting little things to go your way, and that happens for everyone. So, Eagles got it done, man. Gotta take your hat off to them. They got it done. 20-16, get to their 9th win of the season. And I got to give the Eagles credit. We sat here and we all joked and laughed before the season started. Oh, Eagles 6-win team, 5-win team. They're 9-7, man. Eagles are 9-7. So they got it done. We're 6-10. And all you can hope for is that this top 10 pick that we have will allow us to select the quarterback that we like. We'll see. You know how quarterbacks get pushed up in drafts? We can sit here and have this conversation about, there will be no top 10 quarterbacks selected. I guarantee you at least 2 go in the top 10, because that's what we do to quarterbacks. We push them up. And one will be taken in the top 3 or 4 picks. Mark my words. More likely than not, it'll be Kenny Pickett. But whatever. That's going to do it for me. Your man, Louie T. Greatly appreciate you guys joining me on this show. I got one more super chat on the way out from Luck. Thank you for the super chat, Luck. Greatly appreciate you, who writes, "Don't leave, Lou. What am I going to do on this drive?" I gave you all I could. You said it was a 3-hour drive. I gave you 2 hours and 28 minutes. That's all I got left for you, bro. That's all I got in the tank. So that's going to do it for me, your man, Louie T. I am a Washington fan, etched in burgundy and gold. My Washington spirit will never die. Washington spirit will never fold until we meet again. You guys take care. We got one more week of this season, and then the name, and then free agency, and then the draft. So it'll be an interesting offseason, to say the least, but we got to get there first. One more game before this season is done. That's going to do it for me, your man, Louie T. You guys enjoy the rest of your weekend, and I'll see you next time. Peace. Louie T.